My sisters and brothers, when Allah is pleased with someone, one of the most beautiful and powerful signs is the ease and consistency they experience in acts of worship. Worship becomes less of a burden and more of a spiritual longing. The heart feels drawn to Salah, to Qur'an, to Deen, not because of obligation alone, but because there's a deep inner desire to connect with the Creator. This consistency isn't just about performance, it's about presence. It's not about the number of rakas prayed, but the khushu felt within them. It's not about how much Quran is recited, but about how deeply it penetrates the heart and how sincerely it is reflected upon. When a believer wakes up for Fajr without battling their alarm clock or drags themselves away from distractions just to spend a few extra moments in prayer, that's not just discipline, it's a sign of divine love. When they sit in the quiet of the night whispering to their Lord in tahajjud, even though the world is asleep, that's not just effort. It's a response to a calling. Allah places love for these acts in the heart of those He is pleased with, and this love transforms everything. Suddenly, Salah becomes the soul's resting place, not a checklist item. The Quran becomes nourishment, not just a book to be read in Ramadan. This consistency is not perfection. It doesn't mean a person never slips or never misses a prayer. Rather, it means that even when they do falter, their heart aches to return. They don't feel comfortable staying distant from Allah. There's a natural pull back toward Him. That's the mercy of Allah working in their hearts, allowing them to keep striving despite imperfections. This pull is a divine gift, not something anyone can create on their own. Some people might look at themselves and say, I'm not perfect. I still struggle, but the fact that you care about your spiritual state, the fact that you try, is already a sign that Allah has not turned away from you. Allah's pleasure doesn't always come with loud signs. Sometimes it's hidden in that quiet moment when you raise your hands in dua after a long day, or when you choose to pray instead of scrolling through your phone. So if you find that worship is becoming something you look forward to, if your heart feels a sense of loss when you miss a prayer or delay your Quran recitation, then take comfort. This is not random. It may just be a sign that Allah is pleased with you and that your heart is being drawn closer to Him by His mercy. Another sign that Allah is pleased with you is the kind of people He surrounds you with. When Allah wants good for a person, He blesses them with righteous company. People who remind you of Him, who pull you closer to the Deen, who lift you up when your faith is low and celebrate your growth when you rise. These are not just friends. They are a reflection of Allah's mercy upon you. Because the company we keep has a deep effect on the state of our hearts. And when your circle is filled with those who fear Allah and love Him sincerely, it's a sign that you are walking a path that pleases Him. Sometimes you'll notice that Allah distances you from people you once felt attached to. Friends who brought you comfort but also pulled you into sin. Circles that made you laugh but dimmed your spirituality. Suddenly those relationships break off, not with drama but quietly, almost naturally. And at first it may hurt. You may feel lonely, but that loneliness doesn't last. Because slowly Allah replaces them with people who bring light to your life. Those who remind you to pray, who speak about Jannah as though they miss it, who talk about accountability and purity with love and sincerity, not with judgment or superiority. When Allah is pleased with you, He gives you hearts that mirror yours in sincerity. You begin to feel uncomfortable in gatherings of gossip or places where Allah is not remembered. Not because you're better than others, but because your soul has begun to crave something deeper, something pure. You find peace in spaces where Allah is mentioned, where Quran is recited, where advice is gentle, and where love is rooted in the Akhirah. That comfort is a divine gift. It's not something you can create artificially. It is Allah turning your heart towards what is beloved to Him. You'll know you're in the right company when your conversations make you reflect, when time spent together strengthens your iman, and when parting leaves you feeling closer to Allah. If you find yourself naturally drawn to those who remind you of your purpose, and if you're being gently moved away from those who distract you from it, then perhaps this is a quiet sign. A sign that Allah is pleased with you, and that He is protecting your heart through the people He places around you. One of the most subtle yet powerful signs that Allah is pleased with you is when He protects you from sin. You may not even realize it at first. how you were about to fall into something wrong and somehow it didn't happen. Maybe your plans fell through. Maybe your heart suddenly felt heavy, or guilt overwhelmed you before you could continue. That invisible barrier, that sudden discomfort, that redirection, it isn't random. It's Allah placing a shield around your heart, guiding you away from what displeases Him. When Allah loves a servant, He protects their dignity, their soul, and their future by blocking the roads that lead to harm. There are moments when you might feel frustrated, like when you want something so badly, but every door keeps closing. You ask yourself why things aren't working out. Why certain people walk away. Why specific opportunities slip through your fingers. Why temptations suddenly feel repulsive. But sometimes it's not a loss, it's a rescue. What looks like rejection in your eyes could actually be divine protection. Allah in His mercy is steering you away from things that would damage your heart, darken your soul, or distance you from Him. That is not something to overlook. That is love in its highest form. The person who sins and feels numb is not the same as the one who sins and feels crushed afterward. When your heart still trembles after a mistake, when you can't sleep without asking Allah for forgiveness, when you find it hard to carry on without making tawbah, that's a sign that your heart is alive and Allah hasn't turned away from you. It's a sign that His mercy is still covering you, still inviting you back before you get too far. And when you feel that protective discomfort, the kind that pushes you away from what you know is wrong, that strength from Allah placed inside of you. If you find yourself walking away from sin, not because of fear of people, but because of love and fear of Allah, then you are already on the path of those whom He protects. If you see that the things which once tempted you no longer hold power over your heart, or that you feel restless when you're not in a state of obedience, then know that this isn't from you alone, this is a gift, a sign that Allah is pleased with you, and that He is guarding you in ways you may never fully understand. There's something deeply powerful about the way a believer reacts to trials. When someone is going through pain, hardship, or difficulty, yet their heart remains calm and trusting, that's not normal. That's a sign of a heart that is connected to Allah, a heart that knows the one in control and rests in His wisdom. When Allah is pleased with someone, He grants them this inner peace, even when the outside world is chaotic. The storms come, the tests increase, people disappoint, but there's a stillness in their soul. That stillness doesn't come from denial or ignorance. It comes from yaqeen, from certainty that Allah never allows anything to happen without purpose. Many people believe that trials are always punishments, but that's not always true. Sometimes trials are a sign that Allah loves you. He is refining you, cleansing you, and preparing you for something greater. The one who is distant from Allah may crumble under the weight of the same trial that draws the sincere believer closer. So if you find yourself in hardship, but your heart keeps turning back to Allah, if you keep praying, even with tears in your eyes, if you feel broken but still hopeful, then know that you are being held by something greater than yourself. That hope, that strength is a mercy from Allah, and it is a sign of His pleasure with you. You'll know this kind of peace when you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what's Allah trying to teach me? You'll know it when you feel gratitude in the middle of pain, not because you enjoy the hardship, but because you trust the one who allowed it. This shift in mindset doesn't come from the world around you. It's a gift that comes from above. It's as if Allah is telling your heart to be still. I am with you. So if you're going through a test, but you feel that Allah is still giving you moments of peace, still allowing your heart to find comfort in Dear, still making you believe in His mercy, then cherish it. Because that calm in the storm, that faith in the fire may just be a sign that Allah is pleased with you and that His mercy is wrapping around you, even when you can't see it. One of the clearest signs that Allah is still pleased with you is when your heart keeps returning to Him in repentance. No matter how far you fall, no matter how much you've messed up, if your soul still feels the pull to say astaghfirullah, to turn to Him with sincerity, then that's a sign that He hasn't closed the door on you. In fact, the desire to make istighfar, to seek forgiveness, is itself a mercy from Allah. It's not something you generate on your own. It's placed in your heart as an invitation back to His love, His mercy, and His nearness. There are people who commit major sins, yet they lie awake at night regretting it. There are those who miss prayers, but still feel their heart ache every time they remember. That ache is not punishment, it's proof that their iman is still alive. It's a heartbeat of the soul calling out to the one who created it. And when someone feels that urge to say, Ya Allah, forgive me, even after falling again and again, it means they are still within Allah's mercy. If Allah wanted to leave them, their hearts would be sealed. But instead, He's keeping the flame of faith burning quietly, gently urging them back. Istighfar isn't just about saying a few words. It's about the feeling of returning, of humbling yourself before the most merciful and saying, I messed up, but I know you can cleanse me. That return again and again is beloved to Allah. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that if we did sin, Allah would replace us with people who did sin, just so they could turn back to Him in repentance. Why? Because Allah loves the heart that comes back. He loves the broken, trembling words of someone who admits their faults and trusts in His forgiveness more than they fear His punishment. So if you find yourself in a state where repentance feels constant, where guilt turns into dew, where every fall makes you reach higher toward your Lord, then don't despair. That constant turning back to Allah is one of the strongest signs that He is still pleased with you and that He is keeping your heart alive with His mercy. One of the most sincere signs that Allah is pleased with a person is when their deeds are done quietly, purely, and without the need for attention. When you do good only for His sake and not for the eyes of people, that's a sign of a heart that is truly connected to Allah. Sincerity or ikhlas is one of the hardest qualities to attain because it goes against our ego. Our ego wants to be seen, heard, appreciated, wants the likes, the comments, the praise. But when Allah is pleased with someone, He purifies their intentions, allowing them to do good without needing applause. That's a very rare and very precious gift. Think about the small deeds no one knows about. The prayer prayed in the stillness of the night, the charity given in secret, the tear that falls in sujood when you're completely alone. These moments are hidden from the world but illuminated in the heavens. When your heart feels more fulfilled doing good in private than being praised in public, that's not just humility. That's a soul that's been trained to love Allah more than it loves attention. That's a sign that Allah has chosen you to be among those who seek His reward, not the reward of people. Sincerity also means doing the right thing, even when no one is watching. It means continuing your good habits without an audience, and not abandoning them when the spotlight fades. Many people do good only when they're seen or when they know they'll be recognized. But those whom Allah is pleased with don't need that. They're content with Allah seeing them. They find peace in the fact that their deeds are between them and their Lord. They don't chase validation. They chase the acceptance of the Most High. If you'll find yourself doing good without needing anyone to know, if your heart feels satisfied in pleasing Allah alone, and if your private moments of worship are more meaningful to you than your public image, then hold on to that. That purity is rare. And it may just be one of the clearest signs that Allah is pleased with you, that your heart is sincerely seeking Him above all else, and that your efforts are not going unnoticed by the one who sees all.